it God or is it money? I said both. Who say you can't love God and get money? Hey, yeah. I was just doing the scene. Now I am right on your screen. Sitting right next to my queen. She is the girl that I need. She called me Adam Levine. Loved her since I was 19. Finna keep our life clean. Got it, money, our routine. Hey, I was just new on the scene. Now I am right on your screen. Sitting right next to my queen. She is the girl that I need. She called me Adam Levine. Loved her since I was 19. Finna keep our life clean. Got it, money, our routine. Got it, money, our routine. Got it, money, our routine. Got it, money, I said. None of this talk is all favor. She wanna chill, I said later. Told her I'd never betray her. Spending time with my creator. Gotta get this out on paper. Stick to my faith, I don't waver. They calling me a crusader. All this cheese and no greater. Hey, I just don't wanna be average. I'm in my prime with no package. What is the point with no bandage? Temptation always a challenge. Giving but don't know what happened. I cannot believe in balance. Tripping all over these talents. Shout to my homies.
What up? What's up, Ishes?
I might just call me a palace.
What's good, bro? What's good? What's good?
Bearing this fruit like I'm Adam. The future I cannot fathom. She think I'm funny and handsome.
That dirty pump. That dirty pump.
That's why I wrote me an album. That's why I wrote me an album. One of these gonna be good.
Dirty pump. Dirty. Goodwill pumping.
Got this on the throne. Take a land wrong. Don't know where you from, but you acting dumb like you made your bed in the catacombs. Trying to rob the crown, better turn around. Go find your soul in the lost fight. This is holy ground and got the whole city like they're high up, but ain't a single pound. I said I was just doing the scene. Now I am right on your screen. Sitting right next to my queen. She is the girl that I need. She called me Adam Levine.
What's up, Ishes? Welcome to the evening cast. That's right, we're a little bit later today. Why not?
I was just new on the scene. Now I am right on your screen.
Why not? As good a time as any, as long as we get it done every day.
Since I was 19, fitting to keep our life clean. Got it, money, our routine. Got it, money, our routine. Got it, money, our routine. Got it, money, I said.
First time Barefoot Squats. You'll never go back. Once you go bare, you love hair. I don't know. Just about to touch myself. Good. Beat it off. Spank it. Oh. It's Papa motherfucking Swole. Oh. Let's do this right now, motherfuckers. Pinch your nips. Yeah. Hey-oh, it's Papa fucking Swole. It's Papa Swole. Testing. Is this mic on? I don't know if it's working. Testing. Oh, here we go. Testing. Welcome, everyone, to episode 1055 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular Swolecast, Beercast, Broadcast, Gamecast, Mancast, Pimpcast, Sleazecast, and Slaycast in the realm, because when I flex, you flex. We all flex our motherfucking biceps. What is going on, everyone? Thanks for joining me live on Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, Twitch, everywhere you like to catch the live gains. And, of course, you can subscribe to the podcast everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Shapeify, Earify, Audiofy, anywhere if those exist. If not, they probably will. Those are good business ideas. Someone take that and run with it. Take and run. Oh, yeah. All right. So what's going on? What up? What's up, chins and balls? What's going on? Muted blush. Hello, Benjamin. Mike, Joseph, Sean, Lance, Karen, Rebecca, Theodore, Frank, Melinda, Miguel, Brian. Did I say Brian twice? No, I didn't. What up? Kim? Here we go. Oh, Bella, what's up, Dobie? All right, there we go. Melinda, love the cheese video today. Awesome. Yeah, new driving while gaining. You know what's cool about driving while gaining? First off, I say whatever the fuck I want, and it's insane. It's like you go on an acid trip for like 3 minutes. And what's interesting is if you notice that driving while gaining, they don't get as many views. They don't get quite as many views. And the reason why, it's because they're so uncensored. And the irony, when you look at that, like, you might look at that from the outside and say, those are the least popular videos. However, the reason why they are less popular from the outside, it's because they aren't monetized, because who the fuck would run an ad at the beginning of a driving while gaining? It's absolutely out of control. And if YouTube cannot run ads, that means YouTube cannot make money. So YouTube doesn't show it to as many people. And that's why it gets less views. So even for people that are subscribed, if you don't turn on that notification bell, you won't know that I dropped a driving while gaining. They will not notify you and they will not promote those videos. So it's a little bit fucked up. But as long as you follow me everywhere and as long as you plug in, you'll see those videos eventually. But it's a shame. It's a shame because people love those fucking videos. They get like only a couple thumbs down, and I'm an absolute raving fucking lunatic. So if you're a driving while gaining fan, I mean, I'm not stopping doing those. That's the heart and soul of the YouTube. Those were the first videos I started doing was driving while gaining. So pretty much it's like me saying, fuck you, YouTube. I don't care about the money. I'm not doing that for the money. That's for the fun. I love DWG. That's the heart and soul. How many of you are waiting for that? How many of you are ready for the driving while gaining gear? So that shirt's going to drop. The driving while gaining shirt is going to drop momentarily, very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. It's awesome. The design is sweet. It's fucking cool. So that's going to be available soon on Soreness apparel. The Fuck Your Pink drink that ended last night. So those are in print and those will be out coming to you in like a week or so. Those of you that jumped on the Fuck Your Pink drink 2.0 have a lot of gear coming, a lot of new designs, a lot of new styles and stuff. So I'll be announcing them and I'll be running those campaigns. So just make sure you stay plugged in because they'll probably run for a few days and then they'll be off the site. So you don't want to miss it. So just definitely check it out and stay tuned. But the driving while gaining design is awesome. DWG is the indie hipster of your entire empire. No, that's the heart and soul. Driving while gaining is that's the balls. That's the fucking, yeah. That's the flavor. That's the flavor. My favorite. I love the DWG. What's up, people? What's up? Do you offer a program that can be done with a home gym? Absolutely. Check out my website, swolenormousx.com. It's perfect for at home or at the gym. You could do it both. You could do both. What's happening? What'd you all pump today? So if you haven't checked this out yet, just as we get started, as we get ramped up, today we're talking about training split variety. I want to go into, some new styles and just kind of discuss because I've been getting a lot of questions about training splits. And I want to clarify some of the hiccups that I feel that people are getting, or things that things that people are getting hung up on when it comes to training splits. And of course, if you have a program or you have something that lays it out for you, it is just something that you follow. However, a lot of you are kind of trying to take your goals and trying to create something around, and you're not necessarily a fitness expert. You're just going to the gym and doing different body parts. You don't really have any true direction. So I want to give you kind of the keys to the castle when it comes to training splits and variety and how often you should change those things up. So, you can put that in the comments below. How about we do that? And we've done this before, but what is your training split right now? Just put that in the comments so we can get the conversation started. If you have questions about program design and training splits, training split is, let's define it for this episode. It's very simple. What you're doing on each day. What's your training split? What body parts are you doing? If let's say you're doing chest on Monday, legs or lower body on Tuesday, you're doing upper body on Thursday. What's your training split? What are you doing right now? So put that in the comments below, and that we'll get some context. If you have questions about it, we can get into that. So anyway, I posted on Instagram a little while ago, and I love doing those just kind of like on the fly, like in the moment type posts, because obviously it saves time. But when I have the passion, when I have the fire, when I have that fucking that burn on my taint, I want to drop a video in the moment and I want it up. So I just filmed within the IG app, which I do a lot. And I asked you all, what do you say to yourself? If you haven't checked out that post, it's on Facebook and Instagram. What do you say to yourself to get your ass to the gym? When you're not feeling like it, what do you tell yourself when you're like, fuck, I got to stop being a pussy and go? What do you tell yourself? What's that internal dialogue that you have with yourself? I thought that was just something that kind of, in the moment, I was just leaving the gym. It's just so easy to not go. And I know that's obvious. I know that's why a lot of people don't go, but it's so easy not to go. It's so easy not to get it done. It's so easy to make a reason or to have an excuse. It's just so easy not to go. However, it's also easy. Come on. I mean, honestly, it's so easy to go to the gym too. It's so easy to go to the gym too, especially once you get on a routine and you're used to it. It's not hard. That's where you have people that work out regularly that just don't understand. Like, how can you not fucking work out? How can you not take care of your body? It's so fucking easy. It's really so easy to take care of your body. You just have to fucking take care of your body. It's not complicated. It's really not hard. You just have to do it. And it's so amazing how some people just don't do it. It doesn't register that they can control their health. That they can control their health. I don't know where that disconnect is. I don't know why people don't want to care for their body. I don't understand it. I don't understand how someone cannot want to take care of their body. I understand why someone would be lazy. I understand people that get into habits, but isn't it weird? It's weird when someone doesn't want to take care of themselves. It's weird when someone does not take advantage of all the technology, of the ability to get all the foods in that you need, the ability to have a gym. To have a gym. Look, obviously you don't need a gym. You can do stuff at home. You can lift at home. You can do calisthenics. You can do body weight exercises. You don't have to have a gym. But we live in a time where there are just gyms on every fucking corner, whether it's a small gym, whether it's a big chain like an LA Fitness or an Equinox or 24-hour Fitness or Gold's Gym or something. They're everywhere. And you have those little tiny, like little strip mall gyms. You have the group exercise training centers. There's no excuse to not do exercise, whether it's at home or it's at a local, whatever it is, whatever you're doing. As much as I'll talk about, okay, CrossFit or group exercise, how that could be risky for people, just do something. Literally, it's better than nothing. Always. It's really going to be better than nothing. And if you're practicing yoga and you're focusing on what you're eating, you're going to be on the right track. You're going to find your way. But you're certainly not going to find your way by sitting on the fucking couch, shoving your face full of food, you fat ass. I think we can agree on that. You're not going to see any progress by sitting on the fucking couch. So as long as you're moving forward and you're doing something, well, you're on the right track. You're making moves, right? You're moving in the right direction. So that's a start. It's a start. And then you can worry about some of those details later. You don't have to worry about those details right away. You don't have to worry about all the program design stuff. Just get your ass in motion. Just get going. I do yoga like 3 days a week. That's cool. Calves and glutes mix in between. I never get that. Couldn't imagine life without the gym. I know. Once you get started. All right. So we got everyone dropping their training programs. Now, I'm not here to say that someone's doing something right and other people are doing it wrong. The purpose of this episode is actually to explain why there really is no wrong way to do your training. There's really no wrong way to design your program. There's really no wrong way to go about it. And the reason why is most of us are average people, meaning we're not training to be fucking athletes. We're not competing for anything. Our livelihood does not depend on how we perform. It doesn't depend on how much weight we lift. It doesn't depend on how much volume we do or how often we train. So because our livelihood doesn't depend on that, we don't have to worry about shaping our training based on any one person's protocol. There is a tendency to follow one plan and become indoctrinated by it and follow an ideology. It happens the same way with nutrition, whether it's keto, paleo, vegan. You get very ideological about your approach, and you oftentimes surround yourself with people that do the same thing, whether you're doing a CrossFit style program, powerlifting, bodybuilding, whether you eat a certain way, right? Because if you have certain friends that believe certain things, you're going to follow, like usually vegans will hang out more with vegans, or people that do yoga will hang out with people that do yoga, and people that lift weights will generally hang out with people that lift weights. That's usually because you're doing those things. So you make friends doing what you do, or you'll keep people in your circle that have similar interests, and you go together, or you connect on different levels. So because most of you don't have that requirement to perform or to, I guess, have a certain outcome from your fitness, rather than, aside from just health and looking good, looking better, taking care of your body, most of your well-being in terms of maybe how you make your money and stuff doesn't depend on your fitness. So how you get there and how you get to that weight loss, how you get to that strength, how you get to that consistency, there's a lot of leeway. There's a lot of customization that you can have. And there are many different ways to get to the same goal. So with muscle, you have a lot of questions that come up. What's best to build muscle? Should I be doing heavier weight and lower reps, or should I be doing lighter weight and higher reps? And the answer is, I mean, there's no right answer for that. Obviously, if you want to build strength and muscle, you generally want to lift heavier weights. However, most of you that do build muscle, have built muscle, you know things like supersets and drop sets and super high rep sets at the end of workouts are fantastic for getting an amazing pump, for building muscle, for fatiguing. So there's a lot of different subtleties and a lot of different approaches. Just because you're trying to build muscle doesn't mean you can't have high rep workouts. Just because you're trying to build endurance doesn't mean you can't lift heavy weights. And what's important to understand is because your goal is overall health. Your goal is to build muscle, to have strength, to be able to move in different planes of motion, to be able to handle yourself as a human being, and to keep your autonomy, to be able to wipe your ass, get off the toilet, be mobile. That's the number one thing. The number one thing as you get older, overall, you need to be mobile. So I don't care who you are, whatever you're doing, anything you wrote in the comments, what your training split is, how many days, whatever the fuck you're doing, if you're not doing mobility and yoga regularly, you are missing the entire picture. You're missing the boat. You're missing it. Same thing with nutrition. If you're not focused on what you're eating before you worry about, oh, am I eating animals? Am I eating plants? Can I call myself plant-based? Am I keto? If you're not focusing on what you're eating first, rather than the style, intermittent fasting and all that shit, you're missing the picture. It's what you eat, and it's making sure that you are focusing your training on the most important aspects of how you're going to carry out your life. What is training about? What is training about? This is very important. So this is right now, this moment, this is when you would share this and tag someone. What is your training for? What does training mean? Training means preparation. Okay. If you want to have your meals with you, what do? You prepare them and you bring them with you. You cook them in advance so you have them when you need them. What is training? What does that mean? You're training. Training means you're doing things in preparation for what might happen. When you're training, you are preparing your body to be able to handle chaotic events that will likely fall within those categories of said training. If you're only doing training on machines, if you're only doing training, doing bench and deadlifts, only that stuff, you are going to miss out on certain important aspects of human motion. I'm not saying do random shit all the time. What I am saying is your programming and your training split needs to address these variations and the ability of the human body to move in different directions. You have joints that are designed by evolution over the course of millennia, certain joints that are meant to rotate where other ones are supposed to hinge, right? You have ball and socket joints, you have hinge joints, you have saddle joints, you have different types of joints. However, we have ball and socket joints that are designed to move in different directions, range of motion. We need to maintain that. You have certain joints that are meant to hinge. We need to make sure that everything is working as it's supposed to. It's just like a car. You don't want to focus on all the aspects of your car. Is the paint good? Is the axle good? Blah, blah, blah. And then your tires are fucking bald. You need to make sure that all parts of your body are being maintained. This is where your weak points are very important, because your weak points, the weakest part of a chain is the weakest link. So if you have all these chains, you have this like steel fucking titanium chain, and one of those links is made out of wood, it's going to break. So a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, is the proper phrasing. And if your weakest link is your knee or your glute activation, a lot of other things are going to break as a result. And the crazy thing about the body is when you see things that fall apart, or things have an injury, or something's recurring over and over again, you have a cumulative injury cycle where you're always pulling your hamstring, or your back is always getting thrown out, or you always have neck pain, or you always have a shoulder issue. It's not coming from the shoulder. It's not coming from the back. It's not coming from the knee. There's something else that is not functioning properly, and it's resulting in this injury happening over and over and over again. And that is what doesn't get addressed. So your training split variety, what you're adding to your training split, what you're doing on a given day in a given cycle, whether it's a 7-day cycle, a 5-day cycle, a 14-day cycle. However long that cycle is, that's going to repeat. What are you doing within that cycle that is addressing these different aspects of how your body is supposed to move? Is the real goal, is the most important thing to build as much muscle as possible? No, it's not. It really isn't. You might want to, but that doesn't make it the most important thing for your body and for health. What do people lose? I mean, I've trained so many elderly people. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents before they passed. I mean, I've seen people grow old and fucking die. The number one thing that people lose is mobility. Mobility and that autonomy, that ability to go through life yourself. If you lose your mobility, you're fucked. If you lose your mobility, you're putting your joints at risk. Mobility is going to put everything at risk, whether you're 30 or you're 90. Because if you're limited in mobility, your body is going to try to find shortcuts, and then it puts other joints and other areas of your body at high risk, extremely high risk. This is why people end up hurting their back during squats, because their ankles are too fucking tight and they are not able to get deep enough except for leaning forward, and it puts a lot of torque on their lower back. There are a lot of reasons why people have chronic neck pain. A lot of times it's coming from the hips, which destabilizes the hip area, causes excessive, arching in the lower back and excessive anterior pelvic tilt. And then you get tightness in the lats, you get pulling on the shoulder and the scapula, and then it, throws the body off kilter. There are a lot of moving parts with the human body. And I'm not blowing smoke up your ass because I'm trying to be some Zen master, yogi, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about from the physical. You can believe whatever you want about having memory stored in your right fucking hip. I'm not talking about that aspect of the spiritual side of the chakras of yoga. What I'm talking about is the physical capacity to move in the intended range that your body is designed. Now, everyone's going to be different. Everyone's joint is going to move differently. Some people are double jointed. They can do crazy shit. And some people can practice yoga and movement and mobility every day, their entire life. That could be their main focus. And they'll never get into one of these extreme positions. Most people can improve drastically, of course, with practice. Some people are just naturally more flexible and they have just more mobility in their joints and their lumbar, right? And they can just get into these contorted positions. Not everyone can do that. A lot of that's genetic and just how you're born. But you need to be addressing this in your training. So here's my training split, what I've been doing lately, because I love the bodybuilding splits. I love doing chest and back. I love lifting heavy. I love getting that pump. I love just, lifting heavy weights. And when it comes to hypertrophy and it comes to strength training, most of those strength movements, if you're trying to build muscle and that's your goal and you want that aesthetic and it's usually very, very sagittal plane. It's usually very static in terms of how you're lifting. All right. As much as you'll see on Instagram, you'll see all this fancy shit. You'll see all these fancy push-ups and all these fancy side to side and twisting movements. Wow, those things get views. But you're not going to be building a ton of muscle. You're not going to look like a physique competitor. You're not going to look like a fitness model if you're doing all that fucking hammering and all that shit. I'm sorry, but everyone, this is not how people are building their muscle. They're lifting fucking weights and they're also adding this stuff in. A lot of people get into this after they've been lifting in the gym for years and they get into fucking hammering, using a sledgehammer on tires. That's not getting you fucking yoked. All right. It really is not. It's going to get you stronger. It's not going to get you fucking massive. It's not. Lifting weights, doing focused repetitions, focused training on specific areas is going to build you that fucking mass in your muscles, that specific targeted volume. Doesn't mean you can't do both. So my point is, it's important, and it's important to have a blend. I think you can definitely have a blend. I think you can definitely do both of these things. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing some type of segmented bodybuilding style strength split. But then as long as you're adding in yoga, you're adding in multiplanar movement on active recovery days and maybe doing some kettlebell stuff. So for example, for me, I'm doing 4 or 5 days resistance training in a week, maybe 4, maybe 6, depending on the week if I feel great. But I'm not doing super heavy resistance, overloading my body. I'm not doing quite as much volume because I want to train my body parts more frequently. As I have gone through my life, my career, and I'm going to be 36 in a couple months. So, but at the same time, I'm not old, but my body has lifted a lot of weights. So it's important to understand that, look, you can't replace your joints and parts like a car. It's not that simple. So you have to make sure that you are adjusting accordingly. That way you're allowing your body recovery. And as you get older, yeah, you need more recovery. You have to focus more on recovery. So I'm biasing everything more on, okay, not so much volume, but now I'm adding a little bit more frequency. So in order to get more frequency, I'll be training maybe 2 or 3 days in a row with resistance, maybe chest and back, do legs, have a nice solid arm day, shoulders and arms, or maybe a little bit more upper body, but it depends. So I like kind of mixing some stuff in, but then I'll have a day off or two where I'm doing yoga and mobility. And then I'll do a day or two of like some total body integrated movement. So today I was sore, right? I did chest and back like 2 days ago. My chest and my back are sore. I did, a lot of pressing. I did a lot of pull-ups and like heavy rows. I did T-bar rows and shit. So I'm sore. And my legs were a little bit sore. So everything was a little bit tight and kind of like fatigued. So this is the kind of thing that if you hammer on it regularly, eventually you get tendonitis. And plus you're only doing sagittal plane movements. You're only just kind of doing front to back, splitting the body in half. And it's very segmented and you're not getting all the variety, all the rotation, things that will keep you healthy and keep you injury free and allow you to adjust for that chaos and react to that chaos in just everyday life, twisting, picking things up and shit like that. So what I do is I'll add a day where, like today, for example, I did not pretty much exclusively, I did kettlebell work, right? I did some just some kettlebell swings. I did some windmills. I just did some, suitcase carry, did some Statue of Liberty walk just for like some shoulder just literally mobility, going to the gym and just kind of doing stuff that's allowing me to twist and bend, just literally doing like resistance, essentially stretching, a couple power moves, but just to get my heart rate up, get some total body integration, and just do some other moves that I don't normally do with the weights. So it's a perfect balance, allowing me for some active recovery, allowing me to work on some stabilizer muscles, do some single leg stuff, and it balances out and helps me recover and keeps the mobility, keeps the range of motion, keeps the multiplanar movement active, allows me to stimulate my proprioception, twisting, turning side to side, working differently than I would for my classic bodybuilding hypertrophy style training. And of course you can build muscle, but active recovery is important. Active recovery can be yoga. It can be mobility. It can be just some light kettlebell work. It could be like dumbbell work, but this is what I do in order to, keep some skills activated and alive, and also just give my body that variety that it needs. And this is something that I could easily maintain for a while because it toes the line between, I love doing the bodybuilding split, but at the same time, that's going to get that just keeps you very, very rigid. And even just with yoga, it just doesn't give you enough, doesn't give me enough dynamic ability. And I like to do 2 different types of resistance training. I like to do my stabilization, my range of motion, my multiplanar movements, right, with the kettlebell or dumbbells, where I do total body. I like to do my segmented days where I lift heavy and I focus on like the pressing movements and the basics. And I like to do my yoga and my mobility. And I usually get that when I'm filming for my Swolenormous X members. I'm doing the Swollen 7, like the mobility series and stuff like that. So a lot of my stuff crosses over when I'm filming for my members. So I do get a lot of that kind of crossover, but I think that's really important. I think it's important to have that in your training split. And remember, if you're training for a specific sport or for a specific performance outcome, your programming might not fit exactly in your programming, but 99.9% of you're someone that you have 2 kids, you have a job, you have a routine, you're not a professional athlete. If you're a professional athlete, you're not going to be doing the same type of stuff that I'm doing. You're not going to be doing the same type of stuff that I'm talking about. My approach is to help guide you all past the fucking bullshit that you're going to read from every single fucking program out there that tells you, do it this way, do it this way. I'm here to tell you that there are many ways to do it. The most important thing is that you're consistent with your output, and then you have in the back of your head as an umbrella over your entire programming the goal of longevity, of mobility, and there are so many different ways that you can cut things up in between. You can train for 15 minutes. You can train for half an hour. Why not? You can train for an hour and a half. Why not? You want to do some cardio? Then fucking do your cardio. Fine. You don't have to do it every day. I mean, on an individual basis, there are all these different things and subtleties and things you can change. Okay, I would, if you have a specific question for you, all right, maybe you take down the cardio a little bit, you increase the weights. From person to person, there are going to be those changes. However, I think everyone should be focusing on some basic resistance training, progressive overload, basic progressive overload training with active recovery days, whether it's total body days that allow for that multiplanar movement, that allow for different skills, that allow for maybe some type of interval training, get your heart rate up a little bit more metabolic, but nothing really stressful, because you want your body overall to have this bias towards recovery. And that's because we're just commonly stressed out way too much. We're physically stressed, we're locked up. And most people, what I see from resistance training, it's the limit of most people are missing the blend. Most people are missing that multiplanar approach. Most people are missing those components. They're either doing the complete just bodybuilding split. They're doing way too much as random exercise. There's no basic structure. So I usually like some type of 3-2, 3 resistance or, heavy fucking days where I'm training like bodybuilding style, right? I usually do like, upper body, lower body, upper body, but like arm day. I'll have a chest and back day. I'll have a leg day. Not always an arm day. Sometimes I'll sprinkle that in. I'll just do upper body on chest and back and I'll get inspired. But usually for me, psychologically, I like to focus and do some overload, but I'm not doing as long of a workout as I used to. I'm not in the gym just doing 20 sets per body part. I do less volume because I'm going to hit those body parts later in the week. So I'm, tweaking things a little bit, but I'm adding that mobility and that yoga aspect to other days of lighter resistance and more functional type movement to allow my body to adapt to the most important aspects of human movement. And that's where you have to think about how your body is supposed to move. It's not just what you want to look like or what you want the outcome to be. Well, what is your body designed to do? What is your body supposed to do? What is your body supposed to, what's your body supposed to be able to accomplish? And if you're ignoring those things, then you're not, then you're just not using, it's like having a car sit in a garage. Well, it's going to look pretty, but it's not going to run all the ball bearings and all the different seals are just going to dry up if you're not using it. The car is meant to be driven. And the human body is meant to be used, and it's meant to be used in different ways. What's a good split between free weights and machines? Not 50-50? No, in my opinion, absolutely not 50-50. I mean, free weights and machines, it depends on the person, depends on the machine. I would say, if anything, 95-5. Depends on what you consider a machine. I rarely use machines. I mean, a bench, I would not consider, honestly, I wouldn't consider a cable crossover or a cable machine. I wouldn't even really call that a machine. That's kind of in between because the cables allow for such dynamic movement. Like when you have the crossover, you can do rotation exercises. It's an apparatus, but what I consider a machine is something that locks you in position, right? The arms move this way. When you're doing like a bench press machine where it's like one of those seated ones, the handles go like this. A hack squat is a machine. A leg press is a machine. Something that limits or restricts the range of motion to a specific pattern. That's what I would consider a machine. But something like a cable machine where you can adjust the arms or just the height and the cable can go in any different direction. It's like a hybrid, but it's more of a free weight than a machine, honestly, because you have to stabilize yourself. So let's get some questions here. Hold on. I can't see this on Instagram. It's a little bit dark. Well, that didn't help too much. Is there any advice you give to, hold on. Got a burp. Is there any advice you would give to 17-year-olds getting started with fitness and nutrition? Oh, yeah. Focus on eating the right foods. Don't worry so much about organic or not, but get rid of all the junk foods. Get rid of all the crap. Make sure you're getting your sleep, your hydration. Start with mobility. Make sure you start practicing yoga and get on a good progressive weight training program. Keep it very simple to start. Be consistent, and it takes time. You're not going to look like some 19-year-old Instagram model that's tweaking their pictures and shit like that. Everyone's trying to get results quick because you see all these young people on social media that are doing all this crazy shit. But a lot of times people have been training for 5-6 years. Fitness has been popular for a long time. So You might see a 24-year-old that looks big on Instagram, but they might have been lifting for 6 or 7 years and they're still young, but it's still a lot of time to be, if they're doing it right, you can definitely build a lot of muscle. I was really big when I was in my early 20s, but I was training hard for like 4 or 5 years at that point. I was also just eating a lot of fucking calories, and I would not do this. I would not do it the same way that I did, to be honest. I mean, I'm happy that I have the physique I have, but I would not have gone about it. I was doing some dirty. I was eating a lot of crap. Are there any specific foods that combat muscle soreness? I would hydrate, sleep. Specific foods, as long as you're getting in your nutrients. I mean, foods that have, magnesium is great for muscle soreness. I mean, people take magnesium supplements, but foods that have magnesium, I believe, avocado, dark chocolate. I don't personally eat beans, but I believe beans have magnesium as well. Muscle soreness isn't necessarily an electrolyte or a nutrient imbalance. It's micro trauma. So I would focus on foam rolling, massage. Things like sauna can help reduce inflammation. But being sore is part of the process. Being sore is your body telling you, hey, don't use these muscles. These are not doing so well. And to be crippled sore, I don't think is a good thing. I don't think crippled traumatic soreness, but a little bit of soreness. But just because if you're not that sore, it doesn't mean you didn't get a good workout. And if you're really sore, it doesn't mean you got a good workout either, because you could easily do too much. And if you do a lot of like deep muscle damage and you don't repair it properly, that's something that can come back and bite you in the ass. It can pop or get a strain or something later on because you didn't really ever heal. And if you're training 5 or 6 days a week, you're never really healing back to 100%. That's what a lot of people don't realize. When you do resistance training, heavy resistance training without proper recovery over and over again, you just crush yourself over and over again. You're never really ever training at 100%. And a lot of you probably experience this. You take a few days off, you go on a trip or something, you don't lift for 3 or 4 days, you come back and you kind of feel like stiff, or you feel a little bit soft, but then you work out and you have an amazing fucking pump. You just feel pumped and like ripped out of your mind because you finally recovered to 100%. So all of a sudden your body is responding really well because you've calmed down and repaired from the stress. So most people are training at a fraction of 100%, whatever that is. You can't really measure, hey, are you at 90%? There's no obviously thermometer on your body. But if you're still kind of sore, you're not at 100%. So there's a lot of, there are a lot of people, or more people are training. I want to say handicapped, but they're training at a lower percentage. They're not training at 100%. I guess there's really no other way to say it. So you are training from a jeopardized position. So it's important whenever you think about your training, in my opinion. And again, this goes back to like my personal approach. I'm just sharing with you what my mindset is right now. It's just to bias everything towards recovery. If you are focused, right? I mean, you can go to the gym, crush yourself, beat yourself, like go and have a great workout. But overall, your focus should be go in, get the work done, get out and recover. And that's what people don't really do. They go to the gym and say, hey, it's a cheat day. I did legs so I can eat a whole fucking pizza. Then they're eating food that is actually causing damage inside their body. You might feel a good pump. You might feel, oh, I deserve it. But you're eating a lot of stuff that your body can't process well. You might have diarrhea. Like you're not giving your body real fuel. Or you're going out and drinking, which is dehydrating you, which means you're not repairing your muscle tissue. So you're not hydrated enough. Alcohol inhibits, anti-diuretic hormones. So you end up pissing out water that your body should be keeping, which is why you get dehydrated and have headaches and hangovers the next day. So you're actually causing your body to not be able to repair. So you're not biasing your body towards recovery. You're actually just inhibiting the recovery. So you're increasing the damage and the inflammation. So your work in the gym is great. Go in there and cause that stimulus that will lead to adaptation of muscle growth and endurance and all those things, or mobility. However, when you're done, it's recovery mode. That's what's building your muscle, is what you're doing after. Are you sleeping? If you're eating and drinking, okay, cool, but then you're staying up all night all the time. And look, I'm not perfect with sleep because I'm trying to fucking do tons of editing and do tons of content, so I struggle with that too. However, if you're not trying to do your best with sleep, whether or not you're going to sleep at 8 o'clock at night or 1 in the morning, if you're not getting enough sleep and you're not getting consistent, regular sleep over the course of time, you are just severely damaging your body. You're not repairing. That is the number one thing that you can do to repair and recover better is sleep. And that's what most people don't do. Way too much TV, way too much fucking Netflix, way too much late night, lights on, getting up early, being exhausted chronically. Most people that have trouble losing weight have hormone issues, blah, blah, blah. It's because their sleep has been fucked up for 30 years. And it's very simple. And people don't want to hear that because that's major circadian change. And you have to really, it takes time to get back on a different sleep schedule. It really does. But if you actually do your research on sleep, it's fucking scary. When you actually look into that, it will frighten you into paying attention to your sleep more, because a lot of like diseases and chronic issues can be mitigated by just getting better sleep. Big time. Big time. Those of you that work all night, I mean, it's not making shit up. It's fucking bad. It's bad. It's bad. Yeah, if you're not getting enough sleep, it's really fucking bad. And I'm not trying to scare you, but fuck it. I'll scare you. I don't give a shit. It's really bad. It's really bad for your body. Stress hormones are elevated. You have trouble losing weight. You have like love handles and this and you're not sleeping. Well, you're fucking, your body's stressed out like crazy. What's your favorite cardio? Sleep. I usually do 30 minutes jogging in a circle. It's so nice in the fresh air. Walking's fine. I go on the step mill before I work out. Unfortunately, most people shouldn't be running or jogging, especially heel to toe. They're just jacking up their back or their knees. Most people should not be running. Most people have terrible, terrible form running, especially since most people have been wearing sneakers and shoes since they were a child. They're fundamentally not moving properly. So a lot of you that are running and you're wearing these fucking shoes and you're jamming heel to toe, you're just fucking impacting your back and your knees. Bam, bam, bam. All those people that are running on the treadmill, boom, 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 boom. That's so bad. That's so bad. You can just hear the fucking smashing of their discs and their knees. Yeah, recovery takes longer with less sleep. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. For sure. My weight can go up and down 5 pounds of water from a night of drinking. Oh, yeah. Well, your body will fluctuate a few pounds day to day. That's why it's useless to weigh yourself every day. It's useless. Yogging. Or is it yogging? It might be a silent J. Silent J. I usually don't get sore. I usually get sore when I do yoga. I don't usually get sore when I do yoga right after weights. Well, yoga is great for relaying the muscle fibers, for taking the body through full range of motion. It's a great active recovery. That's why you should never take a day off. That's why I say no days off. However, it doesn't mean you train resistance and go hardcore balls to the wall every day. No days off means you're doing something every day to move you forward, whether it's foam rolling, active recovery like a total body mobility session, or yoga. You're doing something every day. There shouldn't be a day where you just fucking do nothing. Like, you can do stuff every single day, and you don't need a ton of time. You just have to have that overall approach where I am going to bias my life towards recovering and balancing out the stress from work, from relationships, from resistance training, from all those types of stress, mental and physical. I find out that when you crave sugar or sweets, it actually means you need more rest and meditation. Yeah, when you're stressed out, when you're sleep deprived, was it the dopamine or whatever, the release, it actually increases. It makes your body, when you're sleep deprived, when you're exhausted, you'll crave sugar more, which is why people, and this, I've been saying this on the podcast since the beginning. When you're craving sweets at nights because you're exhausted and you're tired, when you're like, oh, I crave sweet at night, it's because your body is exhausted. You need to sleep. That's usually a sign that your body is fucking exhausted. You're in massive sleep debt. Yeah, you don't need to foam roll your lower back. You should avoid foam rolling your lower back. There's not much protection there. You can cause more damage, and you don't need to because you already have lordotic extension. You already have lumbar curve. You don't need to put pressure on the back part of your discs. You need to roll the front, hip flexors, and you can roll the thoracic and the upper back, but you shouldn't be rolling your lower back. If you get some kind of like massage, but you shouldn't be doing foam rolling in your lower back. There's no need to. Plus, you have the floating ribs. You don't need to add pressure in your lower back. My sugar craving at 2 a.m. Yeah, you should be sleeping at like 9 p.m. Your body's exhausted, which is why you're craving carbs. Anything I can do to reduce soreness from working in an office. I don't know what that means. What do you mean soreness from work? What does that have to do with your soreness? You mean sitting down in a chair? Start doing some foam rolling. Start doing myofascial release. Start getting into those muscles. You know, those foam rollers, the black or the white ones where you're foam rolling. There's different ways to do it. Those of you that are in Swolenormous X, I'm uploading some new foam rolling content there too. On top of getting more sleep. I don't know what you mean, reduce soreness from working in an office, though. I'm not really sure what you mean. Foam rolling the tailbone is great. You don't want to foam roll the bones, so don't do that. Foam rolling the tailbone, no. No, you do not want to foam roll the fucking bone, Kayla, so don't do that. If you mean doing like a butterfly pose, like a passive yin pose in yoga with a yoga block, there's different ways to do it, but you don't want to roll over the bones or the joints. That's something you want to avoid. So LISS is best. What long? What's LISS? Long something slow. What's a LISS? I forget the acronym for LISS. Long slow. I thought it was like long slow cardio or long slow. No, I don't know what you're asking exactly, but there's nothing that's best for fat loss. The best thing for fat loss is to stop eating fucking shit. A caloric deficit, but eating the right foods, eating real quality foods, whether it's animal-based or plant-based. You're still cutting out inflammatory foods to do an elimination diet. Keep your calories in check, which is much easier when you're eating the right foods. You're getting your nutrients in. Resistance training, sleep, hydration, and yoga, and meditation. All awesome. Muscles around just don't roll over the bones. If you're doing your piriformis, there are a lot of muscles that are, quote, around the tailbone, but you don't want to roll on the actual, there's a lot of ass there too, so it's not like you're going to be like, you're jacking on the bone, but you don't want to roll your knee, you don't want to roll, There are always specific things that you can do, but the reason why I'm talking in general, I'm talking to a lot of people that it's very easy to take what I say out of context. So if you're talking one-on-one and I'm explaining how you can get into certain areas, and that's different. But because I'm doing a podcast and thousands of people are listening to this, it's very important to make a lot of times general statements, because on a one-to-one basis or an individual basis, there might be some things that I would say to you different than I would just talking openly on a podcast. So it depends. I want to start yoga. Where do I start? A beginner class, either a local class. We have tons and tons and tons of yoga classes in Swolenormous X on my website. So if you wanted to join up, it's there too. You can go on YouTube and look up beginner yoga. Just start, try something, and just get moving on it. You don't need any equipment either, so. I work in healthcare and work a lot of nights. My sleep is always out of whack. Started taking melatonin to help me sleep, and it's made a huge difference. Yeah, you want to be careful when you start doing stuff like that and you take in supplements. I know there's some people that believe in that, some people that don't. You got to be really careful when you start adding stuff to your body, because then you either become dependent on it or you throw yourself out of whack. I'm very hesitant to take anything like that to aid sleep, whether it's natural or not. Be very careful with that. Honestly, anyone that works nights, look, I'm not trying to depress anyone, but if you're working nights, you're fundamentally fucked. Your circadian rhythm is just flipped upside down, backwards, jacked up. You can't really, it's your body is working the complete opposite of the natural design and evolution of your body. So you're fighting natural, you're just fighting nature. So some people might be more successful than others with it. Some people really suffer from issues with, and I know a lot of people that have worked nights and then switched to days, and their sleep has like been fucked up for years. Like they've never gotten it back. They've never really reset because it just causes such long-term dysfunction. So that's a huge challenge. I know some of you do it because you have to for scheduling, or you get paid more when you work nights, but I mean, the trade-off might not be worth it long-term, to be honest. Well, if you have any questions, Mike, feel free to message. I mean, there's no risk to sign up for Swolenormous X. That's why there's a guarantee. I mean, it's a fucking amazing platform. It's the best community online, and it's growing every single month with new content. So there's really nothing to lose. So if you're interested, you could send a message. You could use a live chat on the website. You could send me a DM. I mean, I get a ton of messages, so it'll take me a minute to get back, but you're more than welcome to send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, wherever. I mean, there's really, I mean, I don't beat around the bush. I mean, the content here, obviously, we do this every single day, but Swolenormous X is really just the epitome and the culmination, literally the application of everything we talk about here every day on the podcast. So in terms of, I don't promote yoga and then I mean, it's all there. Literally everything that I talk about, everything that you would need to implement, everything we discuss here on the podcast is inside Swolenormous X. So for anyone listening, including you, Mike, anyone, definitely check out the website. I'll explain everything, and just feel free to send me a message if you have any questions. And that goes for anyone, any questions about anything, but I just get a lot of messages, so I'll do my best to get back to them as soon as possible. And of course, for those of you that might be new to the podcast, every Sunday we do open Q&A. So Sunday Fun Day Q&A. Just stay tuned to the posts in the feed, because I'll make those posts and give you an opportunity to ask questions. And I try to get to as many as I can, but also those of you that are also following me on YouTube, there are a lot of episodes coming, and there's a new one going to be coming out tomorrow, ideally, I believe, on Ask Papa Swole. So I'm going through a ton of questions on YouTube. So that's another great place to get your questions answered, because those episodes are really bumping tons of questions. So I'm going to try to fire out a bunch of those episodes more often, because there's just so many coming in. So many coming in. Ketosis. Is it a good way to watch carbs in general? Well, ketosis, you're cutting out all net carbs pretty much. So it's a lot of fiber though. A lot of people do keto wrong. They just do tons of fat and protein. They do too much protein. They do a lot of junky fats, and they do zero carbs. Whereas when you do keto properly, you want to be eating a ton of fiber. So I wouldn't do it for long term. If you do that, I mean, something more short term in terms of the year, maybe a couple months. Like, you don't want keto is generally not something you want to do long term, because sometimes for people it can cause issues long term. But you can always go out of it, come back to it, like stop it for a couple months. But there's nothing wrong with carbohydrates if you're eating the right ones and you're keeping overall carbohydrate intake lower, in my opinion. For me, I mean, look, this is just for me personally, a higher fat diet has worked the best. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. I was on the fence too about Swolenormous X. Everyone's on the fence. It's a comfortable fence, though. It's a nice fence to be on. But I am beyond glad that I joined. There's a ton of quality content, and it's always evolving. It's very customizable. He has a money-back guarantee, too. Yes, I do. If you try it and decide it isn't for you. I understand. There's a lot of... The thing is with... And I mentioned this before. I'm going to do a whole tour of it one of these days. But at the same time, it's different. Swolenormous X is different than anything else out there. So when someone says, hey, I'm looking to try your program, it's not a program. It's everything. It has programs. It has customizable programs. It has instructional videos. It has virtual trainings where you can put your headphones in and literally I'm audio, like you're doing the workout with me. There's a full yoga studio. There's mobility, 7-minute, the Swollen 7-minute mobility classes. There's the private group. There's community. It's like the live master classes. There's just so much stuff. So it's a lot more than just a program. It's literally an entire... It's like a little Swole University, but it's just called Swolenormous X. Nice, Oliver. Off topic. I'm eating some picked asparagus. You picked asparagus yourself? There are asparagus farms like where you can pick it yourself. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Thank you, Gabby. Honestly, this is the best program and was so well worth it to buy. Thank you. Yeah, hit me up, Mike. Hit me up. HMU. Let's see. Right on. I do it for weight cutting for MMA, but wondering for long term. Well, the thing is, the reason why people lose a lot of weight, especially at first with keto, is because when you cut carbs, you'll drop a lot of water. Excuse me. The water molecules, I believe the actual chemical, like it binds to glucose. So when you cut out carbs, your body will flush water. So people do keto and like, whoa, I lost 20 pounds or 10 pounds in a week. You lost water weight. Okay. You lost water weight. So a lot of people that do keto, they see a ton of weight loss right away, and then it slows down because you're not going to lose endless amounts of water. You need water in your body. So once your body resets and you lose a lot of water, people get worried because they plateau. They're not losing weight as quickly. They weren't losing fat. They were flushing out tons of fucking water. So people usually then try to do more extreme, or they change things up. Whereas like, no, most people just don't understand how fat loss and how weight loss works. So when you do keto, people usually see a lot of change because most processed foods, I mean, aside from like vegetable oils and those kinds of gross polyunsaturated fats, what most things are that it cause damage are the processed carbohydrates and sugar and stuff, which are all under that carbs category. So if you do keto, you're cutting out most of those processed foods. So of course you start losing tons of weight. You're not doing soda anymore. You're not doing bread and chips and all that kind of shit. So people lose weight really fast and water weight, and then it plateaus, and then, oh my God, what's wrong? Well, you kind of put a Band-Aid on an open wound. You didn't really start it the right way. And a lot of people put cheese on everything and they're doing keto really dirty keto. Itchy. I got to trim this mustache. It's starting to go up my nose and itch me. Virtual trainer and yoga, my favorites. Word up. It's been fun to watch the progress. Dude, those of you that have been Swolenormous X and been part of like premium, like old school, like until Swolenormous X launched, there's a lot of stuff that's changed. And I can't even tell you. There's so many things that are in the works behind the scenes. There's so much stuff coming. So much. I love asparagus too. Tiffany Gray, I did my first total body awareness in Swolenormous X. I am aware that the hippos and Fantasia have more grace than I do. Just means I need to do it more. I love it. Yeah, there's more of those awareness workouts coming too. Those are fire. Total Body Ignite. Love that. Love that workout. Absolutely. Good questions. Opinions on carb cycling. I'll do this last question, but then we'll get into it. We'll do more questions later on. Carb cycling, I don't like it personally. I don't like it. I don't like micromanaging my food. Usually when people do carb cycling, they tend to binge out, and it's not for me. I don't like measuring, oh, this is a low carb day. This is a high carb day. I like to be consistent. I mean, in my opinion, what people should focus on the most is eating less. Things like intermittent fasting or just not eating breakfast, like eating more within a restricted window is better for most people, and eating the right foods. And seriously, think about this. What's required for weight loss in general, right? A caloric deficit. If you're focusing on high quality foods, what you're eating, you do an elimination diet, all that stuff, you figure out these whole foods are the best for me. But now you're restricting your eating window. So maybe you're only eating within 8 hours or 6 hours. Well, now you're eating a lot of whole foods that are dense, lots of fiber and good fats and stuff. Within 6 to 8 hours, you're not going to eat 3,000 fucking calories. You're going to be full. So you're restricting your window of eating and you're eating real food. You're not going to have to worry about counting calories. You're just going to eat real fucking food, get full, and you're going to lose weight in addition with exercise and proper hydration and sleep and then meditation and yoga, and you're going to feel good. You're going to move better. That's why a lot of you that are in part of Swolenormous X or have been listening for a while and implementing this, your comments below and, on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere, your comments mean a lot to people that are brand new to the podcast, because a lot of people are hearing what I'm saying for the first time. Like, it sounds a little foofy. That sounds, but I like to train hard, but I like to do this. What do you think about cheat meal, this, that, and the other? But those of you that have done it and have seen amazing results, that's why it's so powerful. And it's important that you tune in and you drop your comments and you drop your success stories below, because I don't preach anything that's fucking, I wouldn't say it, like, I don't preach proprietary stuff. I mean, there's certain things that I do in a certain way inside Swolenormous X and the certain way that I deliver it, that is my style, but I'm not making up like exercise that no one has ever thought about before. I'm not making up yoga. I'm not making up mobility. I might have a certain pattern or a certain flow or a certain structure that might be unique, but I mean, this is just, my approach is so basic. My approach is so basic. And really, honestly, the reason why you don't hear as much about this type of approach in my way is because most people don't know how to package it, market it, and sell it because it's not glamorous. It's a lot of basic shit. And people want that quick fix. They want that pill. They want that 6-week shred or that, 30-day challenge. They want that fucking idea in their head as if it's going to be something that happens overnight. And it's just not the right approach. It's not the right way to help someone. And look, and I would not be doing this every single day. I would not put in all my fucking time to do this every day and to create what I've created if I didn't believe in it. If it wasn't something, if I was just like skimming off the top, because I know what it takes. And it takes a lot more than just, oh, do this program or do these workouts or do this or eat this way. There are a lot of different people, a lot of you, and you are all completely different in your approach, in your time. And there's a lot of customization that has to be there. And if it's not, you're not aware of how to do it, then how can someone really help you? You're just swinging in the dark and shooting a target in the dark if you're just buying a random program. You need to understand why you're doing something. You need to understand how this works so you can customize and tweak it yourself. You need to understand what you're looking for, what your body is telling you. You need to be able to react and to adjust. I need to teach you. You need to learn and take that time and invest in your understanding of your body. And that's the only way that you're going to be successful. You're going to be able to dynamically adjust in your own life. You're not going to have to follow the fucking bouncing ball. You need to learn. It just takes time. Our bodies are amazing. Papa Swole Rose are the shit, man. Papa Swole sounds made up. Well, I mean, the move, I didn't create the move, I don't think. It's just a row from a different angle, but I call it Papa Swole. I call it Papa Swole Rose because I can. I call it the Papa Swole Press, but hey, a couple times I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll put my name on it. What the fuck? Doesn't mean I invented the movement. Someone's done that in history. I'm sure there's a different name for it, but I want to name it too. All right, fam. I have done tons of questions already, more than I anticipated. So remember, we'll do more Q&A. Go over on YouTube and drop your questions in the comments below those Ask Papa Swole videos. I'm going to get on that edit so I can post a new one tomorrow on YouTube. So make sure you go check it out. Brand new Driving While Gaining dropped on YouTube. Go subscribe if you're not yet subscribed, and go check out swolenormousx.com for all the programs to join the Daily Swole Club if you want to support the show. So thank you for club members. To check out apparel, everything's over at swolenormousx.com. So you can click the link in my Instagram bio. But I'll see everyone tomorrow for episode 1056 of the Most Muscular Swolecast, Beercast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Mancast, Pimpcast, Sleevescast, and Slaycast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. See you tomorrow. Peace, McGee's fam. Deuce Magoose, your boy, Papa Swole. Out.